you know, you think that these people make a lot of money, or
you're talking now about our list of the wealthiest people.
The OC's wealthy.
Yeah,
the
OC wealthiest. These
wealthiest.
are people. I think the minimum. What's the ticket now? 200 million or something like that.
Yeah.
These are all people that make a couple $100 million up to Donald Bren, who makes 15 billion or whatever we've got.
I guess their assets.
The assets. Not what they make. It's their wealth.
Yeah.
So you wrote a couple columns on it. What do you find so interesting about these rich people?
What I wanted to do, Rick, was to point out that income or wealth, net assets, are a mirror of something else. In a market economy, it's an indication of what they've actually brought the community, brought our nation, brought the world in terms of products, services. So when you talk about a person like Ron Simon, for example, I'm not talking about his incredible philanthropy, or Paul Musco and his incredible philanthropy. Everybody thinks of that. What they don't think about is the fact that Paul Musco is doing what he does, where he's made his money, is in improving the refining process of petroleum, and that's made petroleum that much cheaper for everyone else. In the case of Ron Simon, who has made it possible somehow, some way, I don't know how he's done it, to create a manufacturing of cabinets here in this country, rather than importing all those jobs out to China. And through his entrepreneurial genius, he's been able to create these jobs, but also create products that we can buy at Home Depot at a lower price. So, and even someone like a Bill Gross, or someone in financial services, you think, oh my goodness, all these people in high finance, they're just extracting money, creating inequity in the distribution of income. But they forget that all of these people in financial services, moving capital around, create a more efficient distribution of capital, allocation of limited capital, so that the people who can use that capital, create jobs, start businesses, be in the OCBJ wealthiest. Where do they get that money? It's being channeled because of the genius of these wealthy people.
And I'm not questioning you, but I could see some of you are saying, you know, that makes a lot of sense. The guy who creates the gasoline that's cheaper, that helps everybody at the pump. The guy who makes the cabinets more efficiently. Okay, I get that. Oh, these financial guys moving the money around. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
They need to take a course in finance.
Now, what you're suggesting, though, kind of runs counter to the way people feel nowadays. You've got, you know, the 1%, the feeling that the haves and the have-nots. You're kind of pushing this one uphill, aren't you?
Yeah, but it's part of what the market economy is. That's why everybody should take a course in economics, understand that, again, income is a reflection of what those individuals have given back to society. Not in the way of philanthropy, but in the way of lower priced goods and services, and why free market countries generally have more prosperity. You want to lop off those 1%ers? Okay, well then maybe we can become a country like Venezuela, for example. And that's what happens when you have, let's have equal sharing of the pie. The pie gets to be this big rather than this big.
Is there anything, you know, this is a great point. Is there anything that, let's say, the haves should be doing? Is there anything to make people understand this better? Because people see a lot of greed. They saw the financial meltdown and the bailouts and all that, and they think some people play by a different set of rules.
Yeah, the thing is that especially in financial services, that character, integrity is the most important attribute of someone in finance or any area of economics or any area of industry or business. And that is, if you have character, you're treating your employees well, you're giving back to society and philanthropy. But let's not forget that if they try to maximize profits, which is what they're doing, and as a result, they're getting back a significant share of the wealth, as indicated in the Orange County Business Journal's wealthiest list. The only way they can have that kind of wealth is by convincing people that their product or service is better than anyone else's, and it's worthy of your voting for it with your volunteer support in the way of buying the good or service.
Okay.
You're not forcing them to buy it. They're buying it because it improves their lives. And in so doing, they reap a reward. But that reward reflects what they've given back to society. I don't want to water that part of it down, but it's important, and I think largely the case that those individuals have to think about honor, morals, and ethics.
Okay. You wanted to talk a little bit about books. You wrote a recent column about what you read for the summer. So it's we're now moving in the fall here, but what's a book or two people should read?
In case people somehow missed, one of my favorites, which goes back to what we were just talking about, and that is these individuals, the one percenters, let's say, and that's Phil Knight's Shoe Dog. Phil Knight started Nike. Not only did he start Nike, a lot of people who are in marathons and distance running, like me, would not be in it if it weren't for him making running for the masses rather than the elite few, because he came up with an incredible product, namely Nike shoes, that many have copied from since then. But what that book is so wonderful, and why it's my top recommendation for the year. It shows what an entrepreneur has to go through to be a success. Everyone thinks when they see the OCBJ wealthiest list, look at all the money they're making. They don't see all the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. And there were many times that he was close to bankruptcy, ready to give it all up, lose his home, because he mortgaged his home to help fund his business. It really is a wonderful example. It's funny, well written, and he's very open about the mistakes he made along the way. So I think it's a great entrepreneurial lesson. Another terrific book, it's still on the bestseller list, won't get off, is Trevor Noah's book. It's an autobiography, and the name is Born a Crime. It's a wonderful book about him growing up in South Africa. He's a famous television personality, now comedian. It's a funny book, but it's a wonderful book about South Africa, its history, and its socio-economic problems that it's dealing with. I also loved a great book on Winston Churchill, Hero of an Empire, about him during the Boer War, his early life.
Where do you find time to read all these books with everything you're doing?
Here's my secret. Distance running, you just don't go out and run a marathon or a half marathon or a 5K because you feel like it. You have to train. So I will run probably an hour a day, and then on weekends maybe 3 hours. I listen to audible.com, books on tape, so I go through a ton of books while I'm running, and I love it. I'll run longer just to get to the end of a chapter.
And by the way, how old are you now?
71.
71.
So I'm not, which is good because I'm now in the 70 to 74 age bracket in qualifying for Boston. So I got 10 minutes extra time when I hit 70.
You're unbelievable. But I want to know, how long do you plan? Are you going to be running marathons forever?
Well, no. I'm enough of a realist to realize that that's not going to happen, but I'm going to be doing it as long as I can. And I know the more I run now, the longer I'll be able to run in the future.
Finally, not only you read books, you do a million things, run marathons and all that. How are your hens doing, the Rock Island hens?
They're actually, the Rhode Island Reds.
Not Rock Island, I'm sorry.
Rhode Island.
That's going back to my Chicago days, but I remember the Rock Island. Anyway, sorry. Okay, Rhode Island. Your Rhode Island Reds. Your Rhode Island Reds. All right.
In fact, Rhode Island is important because that's where my good friend and your good friend Paul Musco is from. And one of my hens, one of my girls, is named Paula.
Is she still
Paula?
How's Paula doing?
In honor of Paul Musco. Actually, Paul has putting on quite a bit of weight. In fact, I think I'm going to put her on a diet because the more they weigh, the less is their egg production, lowers their egg production. But I have a new one, Maureen, who I've got at the feed store. She was 3 months old, young spry chick, beautiful colored feathers that reminded me of Maureen O'Hara. Remember Maureen?
Yes,
fiery red hair, The Quiet Man, great actress. So she's named Maureen.
I drove Maureen O'Hara around one day, but that's a story for another day.
Wow, that's great.
I got one on
Unfortunately,
you.
she's no longer with us to be on the show,
Yeah.
but I have a chicken named in her honor.
Fantastic. Okay, Jim, as always, not enough time, but thanks so much
Thanks
for coming on.
I love being on your show, Rick.
Thank you.